Hello and welcome to Hoops Weekly Rewind, a show that will recap the last week in the NBA. Today we'll be going over teams that are playing well and those that are playing poorly. I'll be discussing two of the most entertaining and my favorite games from last week, going over some notable player performances, handing out a few different player awards, discussing some other miscellaneous NBA news, and then finishing it off talking about some of my favorite games in the upcoming week. First up, a lot of teams came out of the All-Star break ready to go. 10 different teams finished this last week 3-1 or better. The reigning champion Denver Nuggets have made a statement, going 4-0 since the All-Star break, with all of their wins by 15 or more points. Their best win was against the Red Hot Warriors in Golden State, a team that's won 9 out of their last 11 games, including that loss. The second seed Oklahoma City Thunder are just a half game behind the Minnesota Timberwolves after going 4-0 this last week. Their most impressive win was definitely blowing out the Los Angeles Clippers by 22 points in OKC. The Boston Celtics just keep on winning, as they went 3-0, making them 8 games ahead of the second place Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. They were able to beat the short-handed New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, a very tough place to play. It feels like the Milwaukee Bucks are starting to finally get in a rhythm under Doc Rivers, as they also went 3-0, with a very impressive win in Minnesota over the Timberwolves. It's about that time of the year for the Miami Heat to start turning it on, and although they had a tough 3-game road trip, they had big wins against the Pelicans and the Kings. Golden State, Indiana, Minnesota, Orlando, and Toronto all had 3-1 weeks as well. Now moving on to the losing side of things. Oh no! The Los Angeles Clippers went 1-3 and got blown out in a very important game that I mentioned earlier against OKC, and then 2 home losses. One was against the Lakers, which barely counts as a home loss, but a tough week for the Clippers that are trying to stay healthy and stay in that top 4 range. The Philadelphia 76ers also went 1-3, and they're 4-8 since Joel Embiid's injury. They are now tied for the 5th seed, but only half a game above the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. It would be huge if they were able to stay out of the play-in tournament, but right now that's not looking so likely. Washington, Detroit, San Antonio, Memphis, and Portland finished the week a combined 1-17. Those are 5 of the worst teams in the NBA, and they're pretty much just tanking for the first pick at this point. Now, moving on to some of my favorite games of last week. The Dallas Mavericks took on the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland 2 nights ago. Dallas was in control in the middle to late fourth quarter, but Max Strus started heating up for the Cavs. He finished the fourth quarter with 15 points in only 5 shots, 100% from the field, all threes, in 5 minutes of game time. The craziest part about his performance, however, was that he hit a 59-foot game winner at the buzzer, the second longest buzzer beater in NBA history, and only 2 feet behind Devontae Graham's in 2021. In this game, Luka Doncic had 45 points, 9 rebounds, 14 assists, 3 steals, and only 1 turnover, on 59% from the field. The craziest part, he was a plus 13 in their 2-point loss. This was a heartbreaker for Dallas Mavericks fans, but unbelievable showing by Max Strus. The last game I'll talk about is the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers were up 21 points late in the third quarter and 19 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter. But LeBron James led an unbelievable comeback, and the Lakers ended up winning 116-112. LeBron James had 19 points himself in the fourth quarter, while the Clippers only had 16. And he finished the night with 34 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists on 65% from the field. It's unbelievable that he has this top level that he can still reach at age 39. On to a few notable player performances. In his first game back from the All-Star break, Nikola Jokic dropped 21 points, 19 rebounds, 15 assists on 100% from the field against the Washington Wizards. This was an insane performance, because not only was Washington the last team in the NBA, apart from the Denver Nuggets, that he hadn't gotten a triple-double against, but this was his 4th perfect triple-double in his NBA career. The only other players in NBA history to have multiple 100% from the field triple-doubles is Draymond Green with 2 and Wilt Chamberlain with 3. Nikola Jokic is having a historic season, and he may be on his way for his first Hoops Weekly Rewind Player of the Week. Another unbelievable performance was Victor Wembanyama against the Los Angeles Lakers. Victor Wembanyama finished the night with 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks. And he became the youngest player in NBA history to record a 5x5 game. 5+ of each of those stats. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more of those on the way, and I'm predicting a quadruple double from him sometime soon. Moving on to our player awards of the week. My rookie of the week was Chet Holmgren. The Thunder finished the week 4-0, and he played in all of those games, averaging 22 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks on 62%, 48%, 83% shooting splits. While at this point I don't believe he'll win the Rookie of the Year, in practically any other season he would be the runaway favorite. He's averaging 17, 8, and 3, and almost 3 blocks on unbelievable efficiency on one of the top teams in a really tough Western Conference. The problem for him is that one of the best rookies of all time is also playing this season, Victor Wembanyama. My bench player of the week is DeAndre Hunter of the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks went 2-1, and Hunter averaged 19, 6, and 1 on 58, 39, 88% splits. Atlanta's been very underwhelming this season, but DeAndre's continued to play really solid in his role. Next up, the players of the week from both conferences. Firstly, the winner of the Eastern Conference Player of the Week is Immanuel Quickley from the Toronto Raptors. The young Raptors team had a great week, finishing 3-1, and Quickley was a huge part of this. He averaged 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals, and he shot the lights out all week, with his splits being 50%, 51%, and 86% from the line. I always love when I get to give these awards to the not as huge names, and Immanuel Quickley definitely deserved Eastern Conference Player of the Week. This one was really tough to decide as there were a ton of players that put up phenomenal stats and they won a lot of games, such as Luka, Shea, Anthony Edwards, LeBron, Nikola Jokic. I really wanted to give an honorable mention to one guy in particular, Luka Doncic, as the Mavericks only went 2-2, but he averaged 37 points, 9 rebounds, and 12 assists in those 4 games on 52, 45, 85 splits. I cannot believe that those stats don't win in Player of the Week, but my official Western Conference Player of the Week is Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets.
I'm so good. The lightning is coming.
He had a historic 4 games, as since the All-Star break, he's had 4 triple-doubles, and his first 3 games, he had triple-doubles with 15-plus rebounds and 14-plus assists each game. He led the Nuggets to a 4-0 record and averaged 24 points, 16 rebounds, 14 assists, 2.5 steals, and a block per game. And his efficiency was phenomenal too. 67% from the field, 33% from 3, and then 87% from the line. Teams often take on the characteristics of their best player, and Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets came out of the All-Star break focused and ready to try to get that 1 seed. Great job to those players for some amazing weeks. Now let's move on to some other miscellaneous NBA news. The Los Angeles Clippers announced a full rebrand of their colors, logo, jerseys, and court. I'm personally a big fan of it. I didn't really like their old logo, and while I don't love their main new logo, I'm a sucker for that script style that's on the jerseys and some alternate logos. And overall, I like the color, I like the vibe. It's exciting that they'll be fully rebranding when their new stadium opens next season. It's that time of year where we talk about Phil Jackson's 40 wins before 20 losses rule. If you don't know, Phil Jackson is a legend that has 13 combined championships as a player and coach. And he once said, you must win 40 games before having 20 losses to be seen as an elite team, or to be seen as a true contender. Since the three-point line was installed in the 1979-1980 season, 40 of the 44 NBA champions have met this criteria. The only ones that have missed it are the 1995 Rockets, 2004 Pistons, 2006 Heat, and the 2021 Milwaukee Bucks. All of these teams missing this cutoff also have some context to that, so while it's not a completely imperative rule to follow, it's a very interesting statistical trend. This season, the only 4 teams that passed this benchmark were the Boston Celtics, Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Denver Nuggets. The Clippers, Cavs, and Bucks were all very close to. Lastly, LeBron James is only 40 points from reaching 40,000 career NBA points. I'll talk about him passing this record more in a second. Now, for my official NBA MVP predictions or rankings right now, as of February 28th and 29th, 2024. I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and this is because the Thunder have a pretty easy second half schedule, and I think they're very young and will be gunning for that 1 seed. And if they finish as the 1st seed in the Western Conference, with his incredible statistics, I think he deserves to win the MVP. Second place, I have Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets. If the Nuggets finish above the Thunder, I think it definitely will go to him, as I think that seeding will be very, very important in the MVP race. In my eyes, as of now, I could definitely see either of these two guys winning it. Now, kind of an unfair third place is Luka Doncic. You can't really compare his statistics to anyone in the league, but the Dallas Mavericks will likely finish as the 5, 6, 7 seed, and so I just don't see how you can give it to him over Shea or Jokic. But if they're somehow able to climb into that top 3 or 4, then you never know, he could win his first MVP. For the last segment, here are some games to look forward to for the next week. There are a lot of great games, so I'm going to mention 3 of my favorites, and then quickly list off some of the others that stuck out to me. First up, the Denver Nuggets take on the LA Lakers in Los Angeles on Saturday night. LeBron has a chance to surpass that milestone in epic fashion if he does it on Saturday. Keep an eye out for this game for sure. My second choice was the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Phoenix Suns on Sunday, March 3rd. The Thunder are such a great young team, and Phoenix always plays games that are fun to watch. It'll be an electric atmosphere in Phoenix, and I just think it'll be a great matchup. Very fun to watch, good hoops. My last game is the Indiana Pacers at the Dallas Mavericks on Tuesday, March 5th. This might be a surprising choice to some people. Both teams are lingering in that 5 to 7 or 8 range, but both of these teams play a very exciting style of basketball, and I think that Luka and Kyrie versus Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, all of the fun Pacers players, could provide for a really, really fun game. Keep an eye out for this matchup because it could be fireworks. Now I'm just going to quickly go over some of the other great games. First up, a rematch of the 2023 NBA Finals. The Heat are in Denver taking on the Nuggets tonight, Thursday, February 29th. There's 3 great games on Friday that I'll be keeping my eye on. The Dallas Mavericks in Boston, the Sacramento Kings taking on the Timberwolves in Minnesota, and the Indiana Pacers versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Along with OKC versus Phoenix on Sunday, the Clippers are taking on the Timberwolves in Minnesota. That's a big game for the seeding in the Western Conference. My last 2 are the Clippers on a back-to-back, but in Milwaukee against the Bucks on Monday, and the Phoenix Suns at the Denver Nuggets on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of Hoops Weekly Rewind. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe because it helps me out a ton. And I'll be back next week for another NBA recap.